All right, let's call this the Golden Showers episode. So Comey, the former FBI guy, is now selling his books, whatever. And one of the most outrageous things I think he says is, look, I don't know if the Russians have compromising information on Donald Trump or not, but it's possible. Well, look, it's possible there's a Planet of the Apes somewhere out in the universe. For a guy who was a law enforcement official, who met the president like 3 or 4 times, maybe for an hour totally, to come up with some of the outrageous things, leaving this impression, when there is no evidence of it, that the president of the United States, who was duly elected, whether Comey elects it or not, is somehow compromised by the Russians, I think is so irresponsible.
You know, many in America, especially Republicans, conservatives, they're saying to themselves, because of Mr. Comey and the investigation to Mrs. Clinton, as well as the Trump administration, they're saying, oh my God, we did not know the FBI was so dirty and it was so corrupt. But do you know that the FBI's history is so filthy and dirty? They named the vacuum cleaner after the very man who founded J. Edgar Hoover. First of all, the FBI has been one of the most dirtiest, corrupt institutions against black organizations and black leaders. Look at the documentation. It's all been released. The FBI took credit for the assassination of Malcolm X and helping to create the environment for it. They took credit for what happened to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., sending letters to his wife suggesting he commit suicide, trying to break up Dr. King's marriage. The FBI director, Mr. Comey, has now been found to be the leading leaker of information about the Trump investigation to the media. So really what this is saying is that the FBI, who loved to turn people into snitches, had a director that was a snitch himself to the media. What is going on in the FBI is nothing more than a case of the chickens coming home to roost.
Look, boy, where have I heard that before? Equal opportunity offenders. Look, I think you and I try to be equal opportunity offenders. If we think something is wrong, we call it out, right? And let me tell you my problem with this whole FBI thing of Trump. It is clear to me, because Comey makes fun of his hands, his hair, his tan, he hates Donald Trump. I get it. We all get it. This notion that the FBI director sat around and thought about political consequences of an investigation is ridiculous. When I used to work in TV, I used to hear those discussions. Well, we don't want to affect this. We don't want to affect an election. You know what? That's nonsense.
But listen, the American people cannot be fooled. What the government is doing, Republicans, Democrats, and the administration of Donald Trump and the FBI, they are urinating on the people's leg, telling them it's rain. Brothers and sisters of this nation, do you realize that if Russia interfered in America's election process, that America has done the same thing for decades against other nations? The documentation is out there. Do your research. The very thing we're blaming Russia of has been a common American practice.
They didn't attack our country, Quanell. What they did was try to interfere with the process. But I think the country is going to rebel. And if you look at the polls, I know some people think Rasmussen is some right-wing thing, but they're pretty right on the election. If you start looking at the polls, people are starting to turn to Donald Trump. You know why?
But no,
because taxes are going down.
America, don't turn toward Donald Trump. You better turn toward God, because this nation has become so godless. That's why we're in this condition.